Le Mans Ultimate recently came out of early access with the release of version 1.0, and with it comes a wave of new players. I remember being quite lost when I started LMU, so I thought I would share 12 things that the game doesn't tell you. I have over 200 races in LMU, so I learned quite a few things that are not so obvious at first. This video is mostly for beginners, but if you are an experienced LMU player and think I forgot anything, please do not hesitate to add those in the comments below. As always, if you feel like supporting this channel, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you are new here. Alright, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Alright, so the first thing the game doesn't tell you that I feel you have to do really has to do with your button mapping. So you're going to head over to your settings and you're going to go to your controls. You're going to find the car controls, and from here you're going to make sure that you map a bunch of buttons and functions, right? One of the main one that I want you guys to make sure that you assign a button for is your speed limiter. You may want to, assign buttons if your wheel allows for enough of those to be mapped on your wheel directly, so you can do them while you're driving. You can map your headlights, you can map wiper, ignition, all that. But these are not mandatory if you set, your ignition to automatic and things like that. You don't your wipers to automatic. You don't necessarily need to do that. At least when you're at the beginner stage. What I want you to make sure is to also assign your traction control, your slip angle, your power cut, your ABS, your brake bias, and also if you plan on using the hypercars, you're going to want to map your increment regeneration. This is going to have to do with how you set up your battery as you are driving the hypercars. So those are all the buttons that I want you guys to map, and we'll see in a later section in this video where they become useful and mandatory, in my opinion. The second thing the game doesn't tell you how to do, and I feel is important, is if you are like me, you like to have a different steering wheel ratio. I don't like when I have to turn my steering wheel a lot when I get to airpin and things like that, like slow corners. What I like to do is not have to turn my wheel as much to take those tighter corners, and that's where I feel I'm comfortable driving my car, my GT3 cars especially. So if you are like me and you want to reduce your steering wheel ratio, this took me a little while to figure out, but it's actually in your calibration section near the force feedback. Here you have you can set your steering wheel to be at 900, like it should be in your steering wheel or your wheelbase application on your PC. But if you want to reduce the steering wheel range, this is where you're going to come. It is by default, I believe, around 540, if I'm not mistaken. But for me, where I found the sweet spot is really around 300. So if you feel you're turning your wheel too much and you don't like that, you like to have like a tighter wheel, come here and change your steering wheel range, and it's going to probably help you a lot. If you are at this stage where you want to practice your racecraft or practice your lap time, learn some circuits, some tracks or whatnot, but you don't have a ton of time, you don't want to take 2-3 laps to warm up your tire, there's an option in the advanced option that you can select to have tire warmers, which will make sure that your tires are at the appropriate temperature right from the get-go. That way you can go ahead and go straight into making fast lap times and not waste a ton of times if you are limited a little bit on time. So you just come here in the advanced option, go to difficulty, and make sure you select tire warmers are on. So that's going to make sure that you have warm tires at the start. All right, so another point the game doesn't tell you is how to manage your battery, right? Remember earlier when I told you to actually map the battery increment to a button on your wheel? Well, that's where it's going to come in handy. As you can see on the bottom right corner of my speed, you will see a battery icon. Right now it's blue because it's being drained. The battery is being drained. You can see the gauge on the right side of it going down. And as I'm braking, it becomes green, which means it's recharging the battery, giving you more performance on the braking as well. When your battery has space to recharge, it's going to help with the energy that's transferred to your brake as it regenerate that energy, and it's going to improve your braking performance. So it's important to really manage your battery in the hypercars, right? So when you see that your gauge is going down too much, which you may end up not having enough battery energy to give you the extra, horsepower when you are in the straights, you want to manage that. So if your gauge is going too low, you may want to decrease the battery increment, and when you reduce it, you're going to see it's going to go from 100 kilowatts to 80 kilowatts, or 60 or 50, 40, right? So when I do that, the battery is giving less power to the car, but it's draining it less as well. You see, when I'm in this high speed section like this here, the battery is being drained, but because I'm at 40 kilowatts, it's not being drained as much. So when I brake here, it's recharging, right? So all of this is how you need to manage your battery, right? So it's important to have a button map on your wheel to actually map that. It's not necessarily an easy task to do this during the race, but it's part of what's interesting about the hypercar, right? It adds this additional layer of management and strategy, right? The next thing that you should be aware of is that when you go to your online daily races, you can actually join practices from there. So there will be a server that opens up for this specific race, and you can go in there, be with other players that are going to join the same race as you are, and do some practice laps. You can see how you compare to their lap times, things like that, and get ready for your race from there. It will have the similar condition to your race, and everything will be the perfect setting for you to really make sure that you're on par with other racers and prepare for the race. The other thing that you may want to look at is when you're in the registering window there's a leaderboard section. Right now it's grayed out, it's not available. I'm assuming this is a bug, but it used to be available, and when you would go there, you would see the people that did the best lap times at this track for the week. So this can give you an idea of what's good lap times there and what you should try to get to or close to in order to be competitive in those daily races. You can also see what are the car that are performing the best, so you can see which car are the most meta for that specific track this week. Because not all cars base setup when you are in fixed races are as fast on certain tracks. So you'll definitely have meta cars at each of the tracks. Like this week, you can see that it's the Mercedes and the BMW that are quite meta at the moment, because most people are selecting those cars. So yeah, those are just like a few tips like this that the game doesn't really tell you. All right. So when you are getting ready for a race, you'll first enter in a practice lobby. That's where you're going to want to
Just 2 minutes left, 2 minutes to go.
set up your car and get ready for your qualifying session. So what you're going to want to do is come into your car setup, and from here you have the basic tab, which includes everything that you can actually set up from your car in a basic or in a fixed setup racing situation, right? So you can change your tires, you can adjust your virtual energy, which we will do here because we know it's going to be a qualification session of 5 minutes. So we can only do a certain number of laps, which is going to be around 4, right? You do your first lap, and then you do 2 or 3 fast lap times. So I'm going to put 4, just a little over 4 laps, which is 14% of my virtual energy. And the other things that you can actually set up here in this space is your brake bias, which for the BMW, I'm gonna kind of like put it a little more towards the rear, just so I have a little more turn in the corner. Right now, I'm putting it at +3, but I might actually adjust it a little more than this. The other things that you want to do is play with your TC. Right now, the fixed setup is at 777, and I think that we can get away with lowering it quite a bit in the BMW, which is what we will do here. I'll put 4 everywhere, and I'll try to go from there and see how the car behaves on throttle. Does it start to slide and lose the rear? Like, is it performing well with that? And I'll adjust from there. If there's too much slip allowed, I might increase it. If there's I feel like I could use a little more slip, I may reduce it as well. The ABS at balance is fine for now. I'll leave it there. I might want to put it more like at understeer, depending on the situation. But yeah, so that's really what you want to set up in your practice session to make sure you're ready for qualification. All right, so another thing the game doesn't tell you is really to know where you stand in the lobby. Right now, I am ranked 12. My number here is really the rank I have in this lobby. So the game is expecting me in this split 2 to actually finish 12. So what I need to make sure to do is to finish above that, to make sure that I obtain the most drivers ranking and whatnot. My goal is going to be above that number 12. You can also see that number here in the top left corner, where my name is. So you can know that when you're driving your car as well. All right, guys. So one of the other things that I want you to be aware of is when you are getting ready for the race, just before the race starts, you have about 1 minute to get in your car. So you want to adjust your fuel to be at the number of laps you're going to need for the race. I think this race is 13 laps. It's going to tell you when you go in your car at the top. It's going to tell you at the top right corner that it's expected to have 12.1 laps. So based on the speed of the drivers, we should do 12 laps in this race. So if you put 13 laps, you should have enough gas. If you didn't put enough right from the get-go, you can press escape and return to garage. You're allowed to do that and adjust your fuel here and then press start driving again, and you're going to be back up in the racing grid. So you are totally allowed to do that. All right, so now let's look at what the game does not allow you to do, which is it's pretty strict in the formation lap. You have to really follow the line, and when it says catch up, you can catch up. As long as you are within the green section, you can speed up a little bit, but if you're in the red section, you don't want to speed up. So you have to follow what it tells you. Catch up, you catch up. If it tells you to slow down, you slow down. You don't want to keep pressing the throttle if it tells you to slow down, because you're going to get a penalty for speeding, right? And then that's when the pit limiter will come in. You don't want to go zigzag left, right to warm up your tires either, because then you're going to get a penalty as well. Here I'm going to press my pit limiter, push my throttle to the floor, and get ready for start. And once it gets green, we're just going to press it again so it releases it. This is really what gives you the best launch possible for the starts in LMU. Next thing the game doesn't tell you is how to report players. So you've had a bunch of races online, and now you were just unfortunately ran into someone, ruined your race, and you're like, man, how do I freaking report these guys? So yeah, I'm just gonna show you here. You just go to your profile here, find the race the incident happened in your event history. Go find your latest races here. Click on the race. Find that player that really messed you up. Let's pretend it's this guy here. You're going to press the 3 dots at the end of the line. And then you're going to select post race reporting. And you're going to select the type of report you want to do. Right now, it seems like there's only intentional wrecking as a race incident that you can report. Um, so I guess everything from a racing perspective is going to fall in there. I mean, if it's chat abuse or username, team name, liveries, you can select those, but you can select intentional wrecking and basically just select which session of the race, what was the time of the incident, and basically just explain exactly what happened. So if you do submit those, these players will end up in on their naughty list, and if they get enough reports, they might get a temporary ban and things like that. If they get repeated offenses, they may be banned for a longer period of time. So I recommend you guys use those. We want to have our lobbies clean and not filled with people that are just there to, ruin our days, our races. So, yeah, let's make sure we do report those repeat offenders. So, another thing the game doesn't tell you is how to adjust your seat position when you're in your cockpit. So, if you take your keyboard, you can use the arrow keys, left and right to move forward or backwards, and you can use the up and down arrow to go up and down like this. I like to see my board, my dash screen here. So that's the type of position I like to have in my car. And the last thing I feel is important to know that the game doesn't tell you is really to use your MFD, the little screen full of options on the lower left corner of your screen, right? So you're gonna have a button to navigate this screen so that you can start selecting different things and see different options about the car. Your first one is really, your position relative to other players. This is also the screen where you're gonna see if other cars are actually a lap ahead or a lap behind you. They're gonna have a little color indicator, blue or red. If I'm not mistaken, red means that you are behind them, a lap behind them, and blue means that you are a lap in front of them. Next one is really just information about the track. You're going to see the temperature, time of day, and all this stuff. So this is really, nice information to have if you want to know, or expect some behaviors of the track and things like that. Like right now it's saying low grip. It could say really saturated grip or high grip, things like that. So it's going to give you an information on how you can behave in your car. Next one is really your time. If you want to see your deltas and things like that, you can look at this screen. Next one is for the tires and the brake temperatures, pressures, and all this good stuff. I like to come here and look at my tire temperatures and maybe my tire wear, like how used the tires are. The optimal temperature for tires is somewhere in the 70 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Celsius. Those are pretty optimal temperature. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit for all of you US and English folks, but yeah, so that's about where you want to see your tires. Next one would be really like information about your fuel usage, your virtual energy usage. This is really where you're going to see this information, the percentage, things like that. And then the next one is really where you can control your electronics, all your TC, your ABS, your brake bias, all this good stuff can be controlled from here. So you just have to go and change the actual one. I like to have those things mapped on buttons for myself. So it's just quicker than having to navigate to the screen. But if your wheel doesn't have that many buttons, you can use this screen instead to change everything. And then the last one is really where you're going to set up your pits. So if you're doing races that have mandatory pits to do, this is where you're going to have to come just before you do your pits, maybe one lap ahead of time, change the amount of virtual energy you want to have considering the number of laps you have left to do. You can change your fuel ratio. You decide if you change your tires or not, and you'll also have an option to repair damage if you have any damage. So that's the screen you're gonna have to come to make those changes before pitting. All right, guys, there you have it. These are 12 things that the game doesn't tell you. I hope that I was able to help you get started in LMU and make your journey more enjoyable. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to let me know down in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take it easy. Ciao.